Approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Adoption of the agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll now go to administrative reports.
We don't have any reports this evening.
Thank you. Special presentations. The High School Student of the Month for May is Riley Hauser and Seth Long. This award is sponsored jointly by the Fredericksburg and Jonestown Lions Club, and each recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Lions Club. The Middle School Student of the Month for May is David Arvizu. This award is sponsored by the Northern Lebanon County Rotary Club, and each recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Rotary Club. At this time, I'd like to go to our student board representative, Lindsay.
Glenn, I think some of those students may be here.
Oh, they are? Awesome.
You want to have them stand?
Yes. If you are here, please stand. Congratulations.
The Envirothon Club had their competition on April 26th. There were 3 teams. One team had 4 seniors, another team had 2 juniors and 2 sophomores, and one team had 3 freshmen. Miss Sowers, one of our biology teachers in the high school, has started a Pennsylvania Biomedical Research Society experiment with a group of students. They will be testing the effects of sugar water versus whole milk in rat development. The junior class would like to say that this year's prom was a success and their theme was Message in a Bottle. Our wrestling team qualified for the state championships this year. As an individual, Colin Leonard placed 8th in the state. In our art department, Marlena Popson just had her own gallery show during the month of April at the Swaterra Coffee Shop. She was also NL's first Artsonia Artist of the Week, which is a national competition, and she won a plaque with her winning artwork on it, as well as $50 for herself and $100 for art supplies for the school. The NL Minithon Club raised $13,457 for 4 diamonds. And officer elections, the upcoming senior and sophomore classes have elected their officers for next year. The upcoming junior class started elections this week. In the music department, the Pops concert, which has the chorus and the jazz band, was on May 3rd, last Thursday. The middle and high school band concert was May 5th, which was this Saturday. Lickdale and Fredericksburg Elementary had a joint chorus concert last night, and Jonestown and East Hanover Elementary have their joint chorus concert tomorrow. In student council, the talent show was held last Friday, May 4th. We also had a fiesta. We joined with the Spanish Club to host that. There will be a luau on June 1st. And yesterday, for an early teacher appreciation gift, a few council members brought breakfast to teachers during first period. And the student council will be electing next year's officers on May 16th.
Thank you. The students have been very, very busy. Good job. And our next one is the Spanish Club Costa Rica trip. I'd like to first, I'm sorry. The middle school and high school student of the month presentation.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to recognize 10 students of the month from the middle school. The awards for Student of the Month are sponsored by the Northern Lebanon Rotary Club, and our board president, Glenn Gray, is also a member of the Rotary, so he'll be up here representing the Rotary along with us. For September, Samantha Small, come on up. For October, Sashi Patel. For November, Ethan Ebersol. I do not believe he's here this evening. December, Peyton Wolf. January, Delaney Dyer. February, Abby Boyanowski. March, Luke Dresch. April, Rachel Swank. And in June, Ella Whitman. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for our students of the month. At this time, Mrs. Hassler will come up and call the high school students of the month. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to announce for you to come forward if you are a high school student of the month. This award is sponsored by the Lions Club, and Mr. Gray is going to hand those out as well. For September, Dante DeAngelis and Alexander Palmer. This is Bob Hilligus and Larry Kreiser from the Lions Club. I apologize, I didn't know they were here. So they'll be handing out the award. Oh, sorry. October, Liz Voigt and Jenna Wentling. For November, Jillian Stewart and Libby Hickok. For December, Hannah Whitman and Bentley Bartell. For January, Kimberly Wiener and Brianna LaFountain. February, Dylan Hauser and Stephanie Bolts. For March, Cassia Ray and Keaton Startoni. For April, Riley Browning and Sarah Papson. And for May, Riley Hauser and Seth Long.
Everybody have their pictures? Thank you all very much. I commented that there were 10 middle school students of the month, and I only called 9. David Arvizu, I missed. He's this month's student of the month, and he was here earlier. He's still here. David, come on up.
Congratulations to all the recipients of Student of the Month. I'd like to now go to the Spanish Club Costa Rica trip. I'd first like to introduce Kelly Loy. Kelly Loy?
This is not.
Am I in the wrong one? Okay.
Oh, thank you, everybody, for coming out for my presentation. Now, I know you're all not here for me, but I am here for a very specific reason. First of all, my name is Kelly Loy. I'm here representing a group of parents that wish to acknowledge the chaperones of the Costa Rica trip. We are very pleased with the planning and organization of the trip, and we enjoyed getting daily email updates of what our children were doing. We felt their enthusiasm for the adventures that they were reporting on. And most importantly, we appreciate their dedication to safely returning our children home to us. I can only imagine the daunting task of organizing students and planes and buses to get our children home with the crazy weather we are experiencing. We believe the chaperones went above and beyond to make this a successful, educational, and memorable trip for our children. And their hard work deserves to be recognized. We are thankful for your care and dedication, and it's our hope that you treat yourself to something special and understand you are appreciated with the gift we are giving you. So, if you would please stand if you are here. Thank you, Senora Snyder. Thank you, Mr. Wentling. Thank you, Mr. Hess. Thank you, Miss D-Mac. I don't want to mess up your name. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Schaefbrook.
Where's mine?
And thank you, Ms. Sowers. We would also like to recognize the bus driver that safely transports our children. I don't believe she is here either. We'll get her. We have a gift for her, and her name is Mindy, so thank you to her. In closing, we hope the school board sees the importance of this kind of educational trip and considers allowing future students this valuable experience, knowing with confidence the chaperones do an amazing job. Thank you for your time.
Buenas tardes. Tonight I have the honor of sharing with you a snapshot of our recent trip to Costa Rica. I was going to have all the students come forward, but since we're so crowded, I'm just going to ask everyone who participated on that trip just to stand for a moment so we can recognize you. There were 42 students in all traveling with us. I'm also going to ask Riley, Dylan, Michael, and Steph to work their way up here. So in spite of our unexpected final chapter when we were stranded in Dallas due to a snowstorm, I can say with confidence that this trip was filled with engaging learning, new experiences, life lessons, and many adventures. Our group of 42 students were outstanding ambassadors for our school and our country, and my fellow chaperones Dan Hess, Stefan Wendling, Christy DeMakowitz, Trish Schafebook, and Rhonda Sowers provided a stable backbone for the entire journey. We offer our sincere gratitude again to the school board for recognizing the value of experiential learning and travel. Although words never suffice to capture the full impact of our experience, I have asked a few students to share brief excerpts from their journals that they completed during the trip. After they share, we will watch a brief video put together by NL's own future filmmaker, Jeremy Kessler. Woo!
Okay, my name is Riley. My favorite moment on this trip was our bus ride from Monteverde to Jaco. It's like the 5th day there, I think. I was looking out the window on this trip and I saw the gorgeous mountains and countryside, and I realized I didn't have a whole lot of worries in that moment. Back home here, everything is always a rush and a test, and I realized that there wasn't as much pressure in Costa Rica to do all that. So I knew everything I had done on that trip I wouldn't forget, and it kind of changed my perspective on things coming back.
I'm Dylan Hauser. My favorite moment was when we went to the school, one of the schools in Costa Rica. It's called La Guaria. It's a really small school for, I think it was, first through 6th grade. I felt like my knowledge and learning of Spanish for all these years in high school was finally put to use when we went to the school. And I felt like I could communicate in Spanish really well at that moment. I've learned how international travel can be fun and an important learning experience. There are things you cannot receive or see in school.
My excerpt isn't about a specific day in Costa Rica.
Hello? All right. My name is Michael Lowe. My excerpt isn't about a specific day in Costa Rica because I enjoyed all of them. All right, so at the school, with my friends, at every store, and in the airport, I used Spanish. It was exhilarating trying to speak in a foreign tongue.
My name is Stephanie Boltz. I learned a lot from this trip. I learned that it's okay to slow down and take a breath. I learned to appreciate what's around me more, and I fought sleep during the long bus rides just so I could watch the trees and the mountains passing by the windows. I learned to put my phone down and take mental pictures instead of digital ones.
On March 12, 2018, 42 students and 6 teachers departed from Northern Lebanon High School for a 9-day educational tour in Costa Rica. We arrived in the evening and met our knowledgeable guide, Guillermo, and skilled bus driver, Fred.
During our first full day in the country, we toured a coffee plantation and learned about the process of growing, harvesting, and roasting coffee beans. We learned about the differences in types of coffee and learned how professional coffee tasters evaluate the drink. In the afternoon, we traveled to Arenal, where we hiked to the base of the La Fortuna waterfall and swam in the cool waters of the stream.
On day 3, we spent a rainy morning kayaking on Lake Arenal, a hydroelectric dam at the base of the volcano that supplies most of Costa Rica's electricity. After lunch, we stopped in the town of La Fortuna to purchase paint and brushes for our afternoon service activity.
Ethan, tell us about your kayaking experience. Tell us about your kayaking experience.
Muy bien.
We visited an elementary school called LaGuardia, which is one teacher who teaches grades 1 through 6 and single-handedly runs the school. We brought a small library of books in Spanish, which we read together with students and donated to the school. We worked together with the students to paint a ceiling on a new community building, then learned some new dance moves and played a lively game of soccer. The day was meaningful and magical. We closed our day experiencing the Baldy hot springs, which are fed by hot water that passes by the RNL volcano.
The fourth day began with a hike along the Old Flow Lava Trail in RNL Volcano National Park. Along the hike, we pressed sugarcane into cane juice, learned about the symbiotic relationship between rainforest plants and animals, and tasted termites fresh out of their nests. Our afternoon drive to Monteverde included striking views of Lake RNL, modern windmills, and small towns. We made a short stop at the windy town of Tilarán to check out our guide's favorite pastry shop. Upon arrival in Santa Elena, we explored the town and practiced our Spanish as we purchased souvenirs and snacks.
Day 5 is a day that pushed beyond our comfort zones, starting with the canopy ziplining adventure. The morning included hiking through the rainforest and seeing it from a new perspective, a bird's eye view. The longest zipline was over a half-mile in length. After a brief visit to a local coffee co-op, we planted trees as part of an initiative to create and plant Costa Rica's many forests. In the afternoon, we took a 4-hour hike to the Santa Elena Golf Course Resort. We climbed a dizzying lookout tower with a view of the Arenal volcano. Hiked through the old growth forest and come to being caught a glimpse of a female resplendent headset.
On day 6, we drove to the Pacific coast, stopping along the way for a guided transport of the rainforest canopy. Animals flied during the tour including scarlet macaws, two-toed tree sloth, aquati, juvenile herons, toucans, and blue morpho butterflies. In the evening, we walked the beach to play soccer and enjoy the sunset. For many, it was the first time seeing Pacific waters. After sunset, we enjoyed toasted marshmallows around a campfire, catching up on homework before we left the trip.
Day 7, we experienced the beauty of Monte Antonio National Park. We examined the blue Pacific waters, observed the abundant wildlife, and wrestled against raccoons to save our lunches. Many students retreated to the shade to avoid the powerful sunlight as a result of being 9 degrees north of the equator. In the evening, we enjoyed another breathtaking sunset, followed by a relaxing camp. On our last full day in Costa Rica, we took a crocodile boat tour along the Charcoles River, where our guide pointed out seemingly endless species of birds, some rarely spotted, even by birdwatching enthusiasts. We wrapped up our trip in Sachi, a town known for its ox cart painting and intricate, colorful designs. Our return to San Jose gave us the opportunity to experience the Pan American Highway, which continues all the way from the U.S. to Argentina.
The lessons learned on this trip are hard to summarize, but we have returned home grateful, with a new appreciation for the simple things in life, an awareness of the privileges we take for granted, a renewed interest in travel and language, new friends, and a wealth of knowledge about a small corner of the world called Costa Rica. Pura vida!
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Excellent job. Is there any old business for the...
I'd like to speak, Mr. Gray, about old business.
Okay,
I just need personally to put closure onto last week's event that happened, the vote at the end of the day, just so I can move forward as a board member. And I guess on the way home from the meeting, I had a lot of emotions going through my head. I was angry, and I wasn't angry about the result of the vote at all. I was angry and I was disappointed in myself because I chose not to speak at the meeting. I just feel like by me not speaking, I let down the community. I feel like I let down the administrators, and I just felt like I failed as a board member, and I thought to myself, if there's ever a chance to speak again, I will never make this mistake. I kind of felt like it was the replay over and over of the last words I ever saw Joe Paterno say as of when he was in his debacle, and that was, with the advantage of hindsight, I would do things differently. And I do have the advantage of hindsight now, so I am going to make this right by at least speaking tonight. When I'm done speaking, I will move forward as a board member, and I look forward to working with everyone. So there are two aspects that needed to be considered in last week's decision. Those two aspects were facts and opinions. I'm going to talk about the facts first. We were told facts by the solicitor, and he described this situation. He deemed it as serious and egregious and fireable offenses. When I heard those words, especially the word egregious, I thought, geez, I better listen to this. This does sound, like it could be serious. One question I had for the solicitor was, the people that weren't directly involved with this, do they have any case for sexual harassment lawsuits in the future? And his answer was that yes, they do. They have a legitimate case, and it could happen anytime. It doesn't have to be now. It could be a year from now. You never know when that could happen. So when I heard that kind of stuck in my mind also. He then went on to tell us a story about...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject.
Don't get mad.
If you're going to go on with legal advice I provided, I don't think it's appropriate for one board member
Let him be heard.
to decide to divulge what has been advice provided by counsel.
You can tell me if I say something
I think that's beyond what would be appropriate.
Keep speaking, sir. Keep speaking.
Mr. Kellen then, he did tell us a story of something that happened in the past, not in our district, but it was in regards to sexual harassment lawsuit, and just by someone simply touching someone else's knee in the workplace, it ended up resulting or settling for a $950,000 lawsuit. So that story, stuck with me as well. Finally, with the different types of actions that could be taken from this, or that we could take from this, those actions could help the board in the future if any of these harassment suits ever came to light. And the way that would work is, depending how seriously you take this or what course of action you might choose to do, that could help determine if a judge would think that yes, when this was brought to your attention, you took serious action with this, and by taking serious action, we believe you didn't brush this off to the side. So those were the facts that we were given. Then we have the opinion side of this. The opinion, there were many teacher calls, okay? Many, I should say teacher calls and emails. Probably heard from close to 10 teachers, and all in support of the administrators. There was community outrage. I received many phone calls from community members that just thought this was despicable and heads need to roll, whatever, but I heard that. There were board member views, views such as, these are great people. And when that was said, I was the first one to say, you know what? I agree totally. I have no problems with Mrs. Hassler, no problems with Mr. Wenger, no problems with Mr. Reese. I don't know Mrs. Hassler at all. When the few times I have gotten to talk with her, she is very cordial, very nice, always has a nice smile. I have no personal grudge against her. Mr. Wanger was my boy's principal in elementary school. They both got in trouble for little kid things. I thought he did a great job handling those. So once again, I have no issue with Mr. Wanger. Mr. Reese, I haven't had much interaction with except talking to him, and he seems like a very nice guy. So my thought to that board member was, yes, we're not talking about whether they're nice or not, though. It's whether or not what they did, how it should be dealt with. And I said, you know, if I got a DUI at Hershey, where I work, and got fired for it, I'm sure a lot of people on the staff would say, geez, Nate Erdman, he's a really good guy. It's a shame he got fired for that. And when I gave that analogy, Mrs. England kind of scolded me and said, well, this isn't even close to a DUI, Nate. And I mean, maybe it's not, but I think it's a heck of a lot closer and a heck of a lot better of an analogy than a puppy that poops on a carpet.
Yeah.
Nate, I'd like to...
Talk about it. Come on now.
You can make that same comment without calling out particular...
I'm sorry.
Where's that?
Sorry.
Just to be fair.
I won't say anything. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's really racist.
Finally, we had the community comments last week, and this is all part of the opinions that I'm talking about that I have to weigh. The community comments. I heard the comment, let he who never sinned throw the first stone. If you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw rocks. Those are great quotes. Those are great things to say. And I'll be the first one to say that, yes, you know, I as well have done bad things. I mean, you're looking at a guy that got thrown out of this very school for 10 days, 20 some years ago for fight my senior year. And so yes, I am no saint, I am no angel. I believe I am a pretty good person, but yes, I'm not talking about casting rocks and all that and those analogies. But anyway, all of those opinions, you know, they played a part in my thinking here. The last opinion I had to think about was my own, and my own opinion when we discussed this, I guess my biggest issue was I don't know how these three people can ever have credibility in our district again. And once again, not personal, I like the three of them, but I don't understand how if someone is disciplined, whether it's a teacher, hey, you were doing this during class, or your kids are coming in late, you're not writing them up, or if it's students, hey, you did this isn't right. I don't know how they can have credibility anymore, and that was so how can they discipline people? That was my own personal thing I was wrestling with. So if we were going to vote for demotion last week, I would have voted yes, because ultimately it's my job as a board member to protect our district and our taxpayers from coming out on the losing end of what could be lawsuits in the future.
They're coming.
Notice I said if we were voting for demotion, though. We weren't voting for demotion. We were voting for a hearing on demotion. I didn't know what that meant until it was discussed, but a hearing on demotion would be where a third-party person would hear this case and they would decide if demotion is fair or not. When that came to us as a board, you know, that was, sure, that sounds fine, that would be fair. Some members were really excited that we could do that because it would take all the pressure off of us. Personally, I could handle the pressure if I had to listen to it. I'd handle the pressure and make a decision, but, you know, after hearing that is an option, you know, we decided a hearing, you know, maybe that could be fair. I'm almost done.
Take your time.
So I guess I remember at the end of the hearing when someone said to me, not to me, but to everyone, just don't ask tomorrow because I could change my mind. And I said, well, if you're going to change your mind, let's talk about it now. And then I was met with a comment, well, I'm just joking. I didn't mean it. I just trying to make a little light of the situation. I guess I just need to remember my mom always told me many true words are spoken in jest. And fast forward 5 days later, and what was agreed as a demotion hearing with 9 people turns into a 5-4 vote the other way. So I'm not sure how that happened, but it is what it is. My final thought is I'm concerned about a lack of respect that I'm getting a feel of in this district. I don't think there's no way an administrative team that respected their superintendent would ever choose to do what happened in front of our superintendent. So to me, that's total disrespect. I mean, I don't know, Mrs. Sell, do you think that would happen in front of Dr. Smith at Lower Dolphin? You don't have to answer me, but there is no way, Dr. Smith, no one would ever do that in front of Dr. Smith. It would never happen at Hershey in front of Mr. McFarland. So why it happened here, the only thing I can think of is because there's no respect for the person sitting over here.
Cover-ups, corruption, lies.
Finally, I want to talk about board respect.
There is none.
You know, we talk as a board, we have executive sessions and all those things. We talk in executive session and the hearing is agreed upon, and then we're going to blow off an executive session and blow off a lawyer's input and have total disregard for tens of thousands of dollars that were already spent on this case and go with something that we feel is better for everyone involved. I think that was very disrespectful to go away from what was discussed in a session. Finally, I'll leave you with a quote that Sir Walter Scott says, and this is more for the board than anyone, but he says, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to lie and deceive." And I think deceiving and lying shouldn't happen, and I hope it is done. I look forward to moving on and working with any of you that want to work as a team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good speech, good speech. All real. Good man right there. Good man. Give him the Gatorade.
Well, since Nate brought up some old business, I'd love to talk about this more too.
Talk about it now. Come on, girl.
You know, last week, I was totally appalled and shocked by the board members that flipped their votes. And so I asked, how much did it cost for this investigation? And how much did it cost to go through all the meetings we've gone through? And I asked Howard, and it was about $35,000. So $35,000 in legal fees to accomplish what? Almost nothing? I just can't believe that we would continue to move forward and spend $35,000 of taxpayer money for nothing. It's like, if you're not going to take any action or hold anyone accountable, then don't, to think of a better word of this, but don't piss away the taxpayers' dollars.
Amen. Talk about it now. Come on, Greg. Give us some hands. Clap, buddy. Come on.
I'm just done yet. Thank you. And, you know, I've received some very interesting Snapchat photos that I'm sure all of you don't really want your kids creating or passing around or seeing.
I'll stop.
They're super inappropriate. But if you don't have respect for those who didn't respect you, what do you expect?
Exactly. There you go.
After all this talking about bullying, these kids are being bullied, and you expect them to act any other way toward the people that don't handle the bullying for them?
Exactly.
That's right, you need a leader.
There you go. Talk about it.
Last week, I'm sorry, this is very upsetting to me. Last week, and I'm sorry if I'm exposing your children to something, but I'm sure they've already all been exposed to this.
Yep.
My son came home, and that day, he learned about sex toys in school because of these people sitting in front of us.
Sickos.
I emailed them, and their policy is, per Dr. Bensel, if they get an email from a parent, they're supposed to respond in 24 hours.
How about that, Bensel? How about that now?
No one.
No one. You got that right.
They don't ever respond.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Okay, thank you.
Get them out of here.
The audience, please control yourselves.
Hey, Gray, I got some sleep too. Last time you said I didn't get no sleep. I got some. I'm ready. I'm ready for you, buddy. Let's go.
Thank you, Beth.
Yep, you're
Are
welcome.
there any other comments?
Stand up and loosen up a little bit.
And
Bill, stretch me out. Give me some stretching.
I would like to make one question, or one comment.
We good, yeah, we good.
Yes, there was $35,000 spent. If we went ahead with the vote last night, it would have been another $50,000.
That's all right.
The taxpayers did not spend.
What's lawsuit's gonna cost you? We got 11 of them going, buddy.
Okay, I'm not gonna go into a lot. I think anybody that knows me knows that that's gonna be shocking. But between how I felt when I walked out of here last week, how I felt prior to that, and then getting hit with the stomach flu and 2 sick kids and a husband that's not home, my brain's mush. But all I hope for this board moving forward, because I mean, we're severed, and I think that everybody out here can see we're severed. I think everybody up here can see that we're severed, and what we're doing isn't fixing it. But I do want to make it very clear that allowing the past to excuse the present is how status quo thrives. It's not how you heal. You can't tell people we're going to heal a wound when they don't believe it's been cleaned. So I just hope moving forward that while everybody is looking inward, because we all need to, I'm not perfect. No one up here is perfect. Trust me, the good people that allowed evil to thrive, or stopped it, I should say, they're the ones that brought it to our attention in the first place. But they faced the hardest attack. So the process wasn't right getting it to us, and I hope in the future, if I'm not here, if I walk away tomorrow and the next person that comes in here gives you information, you don't focus on how you got it, you focus on if it was true. And that's it. Thank you.
Good point. Good point. Good point.
Now we're going to public input session.
No rap.
On agenda items, there's a 4-minute time limit, and that will, because of the number, that will be strictly enforced.
Absolutely. Give me 4 minutes. I'll give you 2.5.
Okay. I'd also like to mention that if you are not you're not a member of the community, those you're not a resident, please state if you are an employee or a student before you speak. Our first speaker this evening will be Natalie Groff. And Natalie, you had a non-agenda and an agenda, so you can speak 4 minutes now. At the end of the meeting, you'll get an additional 4 minutes, okay?
Sorry. I'm a little excited with drinks.
As he said, my name is Natalie Groff. I reside at 1862 Blacksbridge Road, Anvil. It is an Anvil address, but we're technically in the Northern Lebanon School District. I just have it on my computer because my printer was giving me a fit. I would like to voice my support of the proposed campus model. I believe the model is student-driven and holds the possibility of providing an environment to enrich the lives of students and further their education in varied ways while giving them mentorship opportunities and intentional relationships. I think many people who live in the Northern Lebanon School District would agree that our schools need help and have been failing in some key areas. Many people have criticized the proposed campus model for various reasons. Their children won't want to lose their lunchtime with their friends, teachers might have more work on their laps, or maybe the mixing of grade levels and various other reasons. Many of these comments and criticisms are fueled by a fear or anxiety or the fear of something new. And some people have even been a little bit nasty in their opposition to the campus model. But for what reason? Is the model being offered intended to harm the students? Nothing could be further from the truth. This model has been proposed to address problems within the district, such as bullying and lack of mentorship opportunities. What are we so afraid of? Indeed, change is always hard. But I think we'd all agree that Northern Lebanon needs change. We aren't in a good place, and we need to trust the leadership we've put into place to lead us into the future. What do we have to lose? Albert Einstein, one of the smartest men to walk this earth said, quote, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results," end quote. Let's not be a district of insane people doing the same thing over and over again. Let's decide to do something different, no matter how scary or uncomfortable or new it may seem. We have evidence that this has worked for other schools. Why not ours?
We have evidence
We
of
need
some
to
other
be
things.
united and give it our best shot. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker will be Olivia
Who's the loudmouth?
Nam.
Kiss my ass. Who's a loudmouth?
My name is Olivia Nam. I reside at 4 Weaverland Drive in Fredericksburg. I have a 6th grade daughter and a 9th grade son. I had the pleasure of signing my incoming 7th grader up to the customized course selection last week, and it was really exciting to have her input as we were kind of planning for her future and give her a little taste of ownership of her education. It's a really fun thing to see. I think she was excited because I had been speaking well of it at home. We have made a habit since we put the kids into Northern Lebanon that we would speak well of the school and that we would show them honor. As in return, we have received a lot of honor. And it has been my pleasure to volunteer at the school in many capacities, and sometimes wearing stuff like this to help little ones. And I'm not the only person who is doing that. We have a lot of really dedicated teachers and parents who are willing to help not only their own children, but other people's children. And I do believe, well, I will just say that the precepts of the campus model really resonated with me as just the backbone of successful people. People who manage their time well and recognize the resources that they have, varied and rigorous academic opportunities, and structured multi-grade interaction, which I do think is a careful step into the real world and beyond. So I want to voice my wholehearted support for the campus model, and also to say that I pledge my unwavering service to the school no matter the outcome. I enjoy every student I have met here. We have some really great kids, and I really look forward to it no matter what, and so we'll be here regardless. Thank you all for your service and for your time.
Okay, our next speaker will be Wendy Gerbrick.
Hi, I'm Wendy Gerbrick. I'm from 7A Lane, Fredericksburg. Yeah, I'm old. I'm not premature gray. You could say I don't have a dog in this race or a horse in this race. I could. I have a 10-year-old. I see this school doing a cycle of things. I call it the 6-year, 5-10. Because every 6 years, it seems like there's a brand new idea. The best thing that can happen for this school comes along. We try it. It's great. You have the parents who are sending their kids, they're in 5th grade now, and they're shaking their boots thinking, oh my goodness, what's this new thing coming up? By the time they get to be 10th grade parents, they're like, oh my word, I only have 2 more years of this, just let me go, I'll be out of here. So we have this 6-year cycle of new stuff coming on. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Yes, I had some kids in the school, I had some that homeschooled all the way through, we're homeschooling right now, the 10-year-old, but you gotta think through, what are you doing and how many back paces are you gonna take to fix what you're trying to do right now, not the campus, but 6th grade moved in. Now I hear 6th grade isn't a good idea. Kindergarten is combined. I hear people saying, oh, maybe we should break that up again. Are we really thinking before we're doing, or are we just grabbing that next new thing that comes along? And again, my kid's not here, it doesn't matter where your people are lunch. Mr. Benz, Dr. Bensel, I will say, kids don't clean up after themselves. I like to think they do, but they really don't. But, you know, just keep that in mind, because I fear that the school, and I thought it interesting that we met in the auditorium last week, or whenever it was, and there's a big sign on the door, no food or drink in this room.
what are we gonna do about that? But again, I don't really care. But Ben, may I address you? May I call you Ben? Okay.
Of course you can.
Do you know that your father was voted the most likely to succeed in his high school class? You may not know that.
What happened
And
to Ben?
the best measure of success is seeing your own child succeed. I believe you succeeded. Your doctor was, correct? Okay. Your dad came on your behalf, not because you're adopted, but because you're his son. He loves you. He came to speak for you. And the whole audience, it was very quiet, and they listened to what your dad and your sister-in-law, Gretchen's sister-in-law, had to say. Out of respect for your dad. Now, you've got a lot of people in this room. Some are for this campus, some are not. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what they do with the campus. I do, but in this case, I don't. You need to show people respect. And I would say that to the three of you and all of you up here. There's some people out here that are hurting and are angry, and you're not going to fix any of this stuff going on if you don't fix and show some respect. Even if it's, sorry Arlo, gotta say it, crazy Arlo.
That's right.
I think he's certifiably crazy and he'd show you the papers.
No respect, no respect.
Arlo, not disrespectful. I don't know the man. I saw him the first time last week in my life, but he's an angry man, and you can do a lot. The three of you sitting here could do a lot to show, and I don't know that he showed disrespect, but he feels disrespected. Fix some of this. I think the campus model could go forward beautifully. But you need, your dad came and spoke for you. And I don't know, Mrs. Hassler, maybe people are speaking for you, and Mr. Reese, I think he spoke for you. That's my time.
Good point, man. Good point.
Okay, before I introduce our next speaker, I would like to ask that each speaker show the respect to the people here and not call out individual board members or administration. Talk about what you're interested in or what you're compassionate about, but be respectful of everybody in here. I know we're all very, very passionate about what our beliefs are, but it's really going over the top a little bit to call out individual either administrators and or board members. And I will call you on that if you do speak out. So, Stephanie Harmon.
It's all right, we'll get our chance. I don't respect any of them.
Okay. Good evening. Stephanie Harmon, 115 Twin Creeks Drive, Jonestown. For the record, I would just like to state that I'm not afraid of change. That's not the issue. Change is a natural part of life. However, I would like to state that I am opposed to the implementation of the campus model at this time. While I am not opposed to the overall idea, there are certainly aspects I feel that have not been thoroughly thought through, reviewed, and investigated for the benefits or the lack thereof. As I mentioned at the last public forum, it seems rash to want to implement the model as a whole next school year. These ideas should be presented and reviewed by all our teachers, not just a chosen few, reviewed again, presented to the public with a detailed plan, and then prioritized. Once prioritized, then move to discuss implementation of 1 or 2 new ideas a year. See how they work. I find it hard to believe that Northern Lebanon has the staff and or the resources necessary to implement this campus model as proposed to benefit our students and be successful. Finally, I am completely appalled with the outcome of the vote regarding disciplinary action for the recent acts of our administration. Over the past few weeks, I have interacted with teachers from throughout all Lebanon County.
Excuse me, that would be, you can talk about that, but that would have to be after.
Come on.
It's all related. I'm almost done.
Okay.
Okay. Over the past few weeks, I have interacted with teachers from throughout all Lebanon County. They and countless others have asked me how it is that these people are still employed. Your vote to do nothing is irresponsible. There is no excuse for their behavior or for any of you to vote no. These people are the face of Northern Lebanon, and they are supposed to represent Northern Lebanon in a distinguished, respectable, and professional manner. I completely understand that we are all human and we all make mistakes. However, when you are in a position such as an administrator of a school, your behavior should be of the highest standards and morals. What you do in the privacy of your own home is one thing, but when you walk through these school doors, they, you, all of us here, need to act and lead with the utmost professional behavior. I had reservations regarding the campus model prior to the aforementioned incident. Now you're asking me and everyone here to support a major change that stemmed from the idea of an administrator who also thinks it's a good idea to play with sex toys during the school day on school property with the children and on taxpayers' dime. I would certainly have to say no, especially now in light of what has occurred. This campus model needs to pause and be reevaluated with the various aspects being reviewed, input sought, and perhaps various aspects implemented over the next several years. I truly hope you will keep the best interest of our students in mind when you cast your vote this evening. Northern Lebanon is not ready for this change, especially not now. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be David Hauk.
Good job. Come on, man, you shuffled them. Before him.
I'm not the one keeping the. It's right there.
So last week you gave some people more time, and if my dad is here tonight, can he finish me even though he doesn't live in the district?
Go on, Dave. Go on.
Dave.
I'd like to speak on two topics tonight. The first one is the campus model. I think there's only one stat you need to know about the campus model. A student-led survey, 242 yes, or to turn down the student campus model, and 5 that were for it. 4 of those were funny seniors, and 1 was a school board member's kid that isn't allowed to breathe. Now I'd like to talk about the budget. We are in a dire strait. I've done a lot of math and detailed analysis. I'm projecting at the end of the school year of June 2020, we'll have a negative balance of $1.3 million. We will have an operating deficit of $2.3 million, which means that we spent more than we took in that year. The last year that I voted on a budget, we had an operating surplus of $540,000 and an ending balance of nearly $4 million. What happened this year? And let me just say right now, in all my comments, there's not one rip to any teacher in this room. The second year, we had a deficit of $1.2 million caused by a very bad teacher's contract, which was opposed by the administration and 3 board members. I do not blame the NEL for accepting it. Personally, I have never turned down a pay raise. I blame the negotiation committee and the other 6 board members. We warned you of Armageddon and you laughed at us. A new contract has been negotiated that's even worse than the current contract. One board member called the negotiation committee incompetent. I think that's a compliment. Let me give you some examples of how bad this contract is. Our old contract, when a teacher retired, they got unused sick days at a maximum payout of 100 days for $12,000. When I was on the negotiating committee, we tried to eliminate that perk. The private sector does not pay for unused sick days. Current contract, no limit on the cap, an increase in the daily amount. I know a former teacher that had 306 days when they retired. That's $33,600, plus $300 per year of service. 30 years of service, retires at 56, and receives a retirement gift of $42,600 versus the old contract of $12,000. It gets worse. But the teacher with 11 years of experience with a master's degree gets 60 more credits over the 5 years of the contract. The teacher will get a $26,000 raise and will be making $87,500 for having 16 years of experience. We need to pay that plus more until they retire, which will be at least another 14 years. Did I mention the taxpayer needs to pay for all those college credits? At a 35% additional PSERS plus 7.65% for payroll taxes, that $87.5 cost turns into $125,000 for the taxpayer. There's a lot more negative items in this contract, but I only have 4 minutes to expose the truth. I'd like to thank Beth Heckman for standing up for us and voting no. The other 8 of you should be embarrassed that you failed to represent our students and our taxpayers. Why did the board hire a negotiating consultant to help us save millions of dollars? You hire consultants for everything else. Tonight you're going to hire a consultant to help them mow the yard. This is not the Augusta golf course. Solution, stop wasting money. And yes, we need a van, and you'll be shocked, Rachel Sekelic, I agree with you. Security cameras would be a wise investment. A used cop car? No way. No, thank you.
Nope.
How will you vote to fix this? How will the 5 vote to fix this? They're going to run as far as way they can from election and not seek re-election again.
That's right.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys be good. I'll show you the tape.
Okay, our next one is Muhammad Azar?
Azir.
Azir.
Yes, sir.
My apology.
It's okay. It's my new Muslim name. I took one. I just took one this weekend. How you guys doing? My name is Muhammad Azir. I'm at 345 School Drive, Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania, 17026. I'm going to read you something. This isn't towards Miss Wolf, Miss Sekelic, Mr. Erdman, or Miss Heckman. It's to the rest of you. I challenge all of your integrity. I'm very disappointed in the whole adult toy scandal. Is this behavior accepted in your household with your kids around? We can't tell by your actions. Please, I want you to know we know the truth about it, and it wasn't all brought out, and it doesn't have to be. I guess you didn't care how your corruption, lies, and lack of duties have torn the community apart. This administration and superintendent can't be trusted or taken seriously. You can't be taken, hold on, I messed up. I'm so sorry, the Arabic writing got me. Can't be taken seriously. Believe me, we are going to expose all of you and everything. You will have some explaining to do. You should have taken your attorney's $300 an hour advice and demoted them. Just know I'm not the only one exposing the truth. We won't stop until all of you corruptible people are exposed and dealt with. Jennifer, Benjamin, and Kristen Schaefer, I asked on May 3rd, 2018 if we were affiliated in any way.
I believe we said, please do not make it, I believe I said, do not make it personal.
I can't hear you.
If you continue, I will have you removed.
Are you afraid to hear what he has to say?
Yeah, that's
Just let me read
exactly.
my story.
Let you speak, it's not look good.
That's it. Don't look good when you.
Exactly.
Hey, look, my man, look.
I have nothing to hide. I'm just simply asking you to be nice.
Stop talking and let him talk.
Pay attention.
I'm not scared of anything you have there. But please, just do not call out people. That's all I'm asking.
Excuse me? That's the problem. You said what?
I'm saying I am simply asking you not to call out individual people. As a courtesy and respect.
Last week and say I need sleep, right? I slept.
After you come to me, I will have to
I see it, my main man. Come on now, let me speak, please. Come on, restart the 4 minutes. Don't get red faced. It's all right. I got some bourbon for you. We have several documents to back everything up. We're coming forward. Lawsuits are coming. Everyone's going to be held accountable. Everyone. Believe that. You neglected your duties, everything. Don't think because you're sitting back there, it's all sweet. It ain't. You play checkers, I play chess. Just remember that, my man. I told you. Come on.
Yay, Arlo.
Our next speaker will be Andrew Murphy, and that's an administration event. Is this not?
It's not Arlo, it's Muhammad.
Is this an agenda item that we're going to be voting on, or is this about the vote last week? Okay, that will be. We'll certainly give you the 4 minutes, but we'll do that after, as part of our regular meeting.
I like how they stop you so they can waste your 4 minutes.
I'll reset it.
And our last, we have 2 more. This one here is Lisa McCoy.
Come on, Lisa. Next school board official right there.
Hi, my name is Lisa McCoy, and I live at 445 South Lancaster Street in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, right outside the borough. I'm not going to call names out, Mr. President, I believe your title is. I am going to speak to the fact of the campus model and the fact that I have provided every one of you in this room, sitting at this table and all here, suggestions, ideas, trainings, and an entire program that is designed and used to figure out what the problem is in this school with the adults, with the kids. They sit with them, they talk to them, they listen to them, they listen to the staff, they listen to administration. I did not get a response from but one telling me he would give the information on, knowing I already sent it. I got 2 more responses via email from 2 other members saying, oh, well, we'll take it under advisement and look into it. I spoke to 2 board members on the phone who were absolutely appalled at the fact that I hadn't been given the opportunity or that they had not been able to have that information beforehand. And Mr. Wanger was the only one who responded from the administration. Sorry for calling out. Please understand that the campus model is not necessarily a bad thing. But what you are doing, as I've stated before, shoving it down people's throats is not appropriate. Yep. There are other ways to accomplish big items. The program in which you're trying to put here was done and put into an amazing district in 10 years. 10 years.
Ouch.
Not 1, not 3 months. We have a new administration. Did you bother to figure out what was going on here first? Before you decided to try to put something in place? Did you bother to ask the questions? Have you even researched the items that I gave you that are out there? It took me an hour. I am a single mom of 4 children, 1 with special needs and 2 with an IEP. I got people coming in and out of my house all the time. I work a full-time job and a second job, and I make sure that I'm at every event that I could possibly be at. My kids are in just about everything. Yeah. This model is not designed for what we need in this school. You need to look at what you're trying to accomplish and take it in pieces. Little pieces, little bites. No one is completely opposed to the model, but shoving it down everybody's throats, telling parents that they don't know what they're doing and how they're parenting children, right there you're going to have a fight. Right there. Please understand that this will not be the last time you hear from me. My kids are in this school for a long time. Long time. I got a 5-year-old. Gonna be here a while.
Ooh, yeah. And
I got special education background.
Yes, you do.
And you have yet
to answer questions on how special education kids are going to be taken care of in this model.
They don't care.
More PCAs, great. But what are you actually going to do with the special education kids that need this type of information? What are you going to do with it?
Dante DeAngelis.
My name is Dante DeAngelis. I live at 646 Jonestown Road, and I am currently a senior. Sorry if I may seem loose today. We've had multiple AP exams already, more to come, so oof. One of the things that I want to say about the campus model, whether it's the full-on solution or if we take it in parts, one thing that I want to accent on is that some of these changes can not necessarily be bad or not necessarily good. So I'm just an old senior, who knows what I know. But one aspect that I wanted to talk on is the mentorships. I wished for this when I was in 7th grade. I even tried it. I spent time at a teacher's lunch, or during my lunch at a teacher's room. In less formal discussion, I got to talk about more things that I would ever learn in class. So while the full resolution may be a big change, I know that even this one small thing that we really need is to get a leader for every student. At the previous forum, the administrators accented on every student should have a mentor. Somebody that you thought of as you were a kid, we need now. Even the Chamber of Commerce students that were selected from the top 5% could not think of a mentor because they just had no time with special to talk with teachers and actually relate. And seniors, they've been here for over 6 years. Why don't they know somebody if they don't have the time to spend it with them? So while nothing may affect me, I want to know that friends of Father Dante will be on track for success. And whatever the result is, I want to see the best result for what even this campus or school really needs. And if we're going to take things with less professionalism and just calling each other out here, you can't expect students to give the same result in class.
Good point.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to comment. We will now go to the consent agenda. Director Sell.
Thank you. I move the consent agenda that includes leave requests, employments as listed, professional substitutes as listed, building use requests, and statement of cash transfers.
Discussion? Roll call?
Klein? Erdman?
Yes.
Sekelic?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
England? Yes. Wolf?
Yes.
Thal? Yes. Gray?
Yes.
All in favor, motion passed. It's come to my attention that Taylor Margot, the new building secretary at Jonestown, is here tonight. So thank you so much for your willingness to serve in that capacity. Oh, thank you. Moving on to management committee, I move item 10.1, motion for the school board of directors to authorize administrators to move forward on the campus model as presented on Tuesday, May 1st, 2018 at the committee meeting. And additional information is that this will be full implementation. Second.
Discussion. And in the discussion, I'd like at least to start, everybody can make a comment, and then we'll go back through if you want to make additional comments, just to make sure that everybody has a fair shake at input.
I'll start. The one thing that I want to say about this is, as an educator myself, I believe strongly in change and always looking at what's best for students. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to looking at educational theory, and one of my favorite theorists is John Cotter, and I believe strongly in systematic change. And while I think there's a lot of great components to this, I definitely support looking at how sixth grade, how we can have better transition. I'm certainly in support of betterment for classes, addition of classes and rigor. It would be very difficult for me to dispute the need for mentorship and for also community service. All the different components of this model certainly speaks to great education. When I really take the time to look at these great theorists, one of the things that I really know and I've learned is that systematic change takes time. And with that time, also there's different components. And some of the biggest components is initiating and including all stakeholders. And I think that I've really taken the time to listen to the many calls that I've received and people who have taken the time to reach out to me, and I appreciate that feedback, and I've really listened to it. And the educator in me supports the idea of the campus model, but the school board member in me said that we need more time to go through for full implementation. So my vote tonight for this is no. And I would encourage, I think the administrators have great ideas, and I would like to encourage them to continue with these ideas. Back to Ms. McCoy and the research that you sent, have not had time to look through all of it. It's very, very massive. There's a lot of components to it, and I appreciate that you did send that. And when I said that I would look into it, I definitely would want to look into that. In addition to other research that's out there. And I think that some of the missing components is not only hearing from our adults and our families, but also listening to our students more. I think that we've heard from some students with really great ideas, and a very wise man had told me that he'd like to look into forming a student advisory board to get some feedback, and I think that's a fabulous idea. So moving forward, I would encourage this. I would encourage community to come together and express what components that they feel needs tweaked. The other thing that I'll say, just as the educator part of me, is I like research and I like a clear devised plan. And I appreciate all of the time and the revision that has gone into this plan over the past year, however long we want to say that this has been morphing and changing, and I appreciate the response to the community effort. However, I do think that we need to really continue to look at it and have a formalized plan. I'd really like something sitting in front of me to say, this is what this model looks like, this is what it has looked like in other districts, and these are the components that we feel match our needs here in Northern London. So while certainly you look at other districts and you look at what has worked well, you want to tailor that to our own particular needs, and data speaks. So I'd like to see that in front of me, that we can have a plan in front of me to look, and that we can put that up on the screen so that you can see it as well. I'm also a timeline girl, so I like to see what are our goals. Part of Cotter's theory is to have that vision. And I think we can say our vision is to improve education here at Northern Lebanon, but let's have it be specific. What do we really want that vision to look like? What do we want our outcomes to be? What do we want it to look like in 3 months? What do we want to look like in a year? And hopefully in 6 years, back to Mrs. Gerber, in 6 years we won't be having that pendulum swing again, because we've really thought about it and we've planned, and we're going to continue that process moving forward. So I want to thank the people that have spoke and shared their ideas, and that's my piece. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Christoph. We'd like to be next. I'm going to go last. Just just because I'm president and I don't want to influence anybody's, sway anybody. And this side?
I'll go. So, I have a little speech written out, and I hope that I eat my words, and if I do, I'll be glad. So, what I've noticed is that we currently have the campus model concept, where administration believed they did not need the support or the vote of the board. You can clearly see this demonstrated as the principals work throughout the schools. The schools are referred to as campus, both verbally and in writing. Classes are being scheduled. Study halls are not offered as part of the schedule. Staff are under the impression this is happening, and everything continues to move forward, full steam ahead, yet the board is only voting tonight. Don't get me wrong. I believe the campus model will happen, as someone must have told them to move forward, that the majority of the board was on board.
Yes, they were.
So I hope that I eat my words there, and maybe with Amy's vote I will. And I also wanted to say a couple questions, and you guys have answers to this, would be great. How does the campus model directly address the ongoing low academic achievement of our students attending secondary schools? The first question. What training have the secondary teachers received in order to be knowledgeable and qualified to serve as mentors?
We got this one. Anyone?
Okay. This model is a social emotional model. We're looking at how the kids, it's not really directed towards the academics. We have another mechanism for that. We're redoing curriculum, we're aligning standards. So we're getting at that with a different tool.
Psychology degrees now.
Getting to the second question, I believe our teachers are especially trained in having conversations with students. That's what they do on a daily basis. Our teachers are great in creating relationships with our kids. And I challenge you, anybody out there, remember your favorite teacher in school, and it's going to be because they knew you better than most. It was about the relationship you had with them. So it's about conversations in small groups with kids based on commonalities. That's how we want it to start.
Dancing around that.
Then you have favoritism. Then that pops up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hit it, Rachel.
We came prepared.
I'll go just as quick as I can. Honestly, I think I've exacerbated every statement I can make on the campus model. I already have expressed last week that I wasn't going to vote for it. I'll be voting against it. I do want to address that when I first started my fight, remember that, Dave? Seems like forever ago. It was about academics, but I happened to show up at the same time the basketball coach incident happened. And I remember board members and other people kind of giving me the, well, people aren't going to show up when it's not about sports. People only show up at Northern Lebanon when it's about sports. It's not about sports.
No.
You might not like the conversations. You might not like the people telling you their opinion or how they're telling you or what it is they're saying, but they're talking. And while it's not what some people wanted to be at this point, I do think that we are just at a starting point. Listening to those students, and the thing is, I don't care if teachers told the one kid to write one thing and teachers told the other kid to write another thing. They sat down with a teacher and wrote about something they weren't getting graded on. So, I mean, that's a bonus. They're talking about it for the first time. We were supposed to come together. And I get the focus groups weren't well attended. I know. I was the only one there. And I didn't even want to be there as a board member, but I had to kind of split. So there were a couple of them. It was just me, and it was a couple of others with a few other board members, and that was it. And I'm not putting that on you. We're talking about it now. So now no one has the, I don't know what's going on. We all know what's going on. Change has to happen. We're all saying that. No one that has come to me and voiced concerns against this has said, I want it to stay exactly the same as it is. I love everything about this school district, right down to the bare bones of failing. No one's saying that, but we also can't take away from the great things that we're doing, and I never say do that either. We have to kind of come together in the middle, and this isn't that. I'm sorry, I know a lot of time and effort has gone into this, but the timeline of input doesn't make sense, and I was at every focus group. So I don't understand where the feedback from the community led to a lot of this. And I don't want the conversation to stop. By gosh, I really do want to see it change the tone for everybody, myself included. I'm guilty. I'm as guilty as so many people out here in how upset I was with it, because I think some of us had high expectations coming into the changes of administration and the changes of the school board. And I think I'm guilty of that too. There's a hard dose of reality of what we can and can't do. There's money, there's everything. So all I ask is, if this is voted down, which I'm hoping it is, nobody stops talking. Send emails, send letters, make phone calls, go to the favorite teacher that you have as a favorite teacher and say things, this is what I hated, this is what I loved. Please do not stop talking. That is what I ask of everyone here. Thank you.
Nice speech. Someone said it.
I said a lot last week, and basically I just want to reiterate my opinion that there are definitely positives in all three aspects that were addressed. I support adding more classes. However, I don't support adding just filler classes. Out of the 30 classes, I'd like to see any class that's being proposed. I'd like to see the scope and sequence, see how it aligns to our standards, and that none of those classes have been presented to us in that way. We did see a master list of the names of the classes, but I would like to see the actual guts that the classes are made up of, just so we don't have, because I just don't want to see garbage classes added as fillers just so we can say, to the public and to neighboring districts, well, we added 30 classes in 1 year. I also said last week, I don't know how we can write quality classes in a few months. It took me over a semester to write a quality class where I work, and that hasn't changed. Some people support the mentorship program, some don't. There's definitely, to me, pros and cons of both. Number one, do I feel that a mentorship program is important? Absolutely. Just like right here, this guy, I think is he the class president, but whatever. If you're not, you could be. But just like he said, he wishes he would have had a mentorship program when he was coming up through the ranks. I definitely see the benefits of it. I said last week, I don't see the benefits of it every day, 180 days in a row. Adding an extra 30 minutes after lunch, I can't buy into that part of it, but a mentorship program would be great. There have been different ways people have discussed doing it, with a delay schedule every other week or once a week. So, that's the class part of it, the mentor part of it, and my fears and reservations about having kids in different grades be together. I talked about that last week, and I gave credit to the administration because I think what they came up with addresses that, and I support that part of it. As far as kids within a grade or two, the biggest lapse in grades would be between like a 7th and a 9th grade, or an 8th and a 10th. There wouldn't really be too much 7th and 12th graders together, which was my initial fear. So I feel they did do a nice job addressing that. As Mrs. Sell discussed, there's a lot of good in this. I'd like to see it keep growing from here and keep being discussed. And when the public knows that there are campus workshops, please come out. This is our third one, I guess, tonight, kind of. We had one in the auditorium, one here originally, and in my opinion, those were the first two where it was really discussed. Dr. Bensel corrected me last week and said it's been going on since October, but really, you know, it really started about 2 months ago when the entire board heard about it the first time that the rest of the community did. So I'd like to see maybe every month or two, you know, this thing revisited, and maybe by next year we can come up with something that a lot of the bugs are really fixed with. So I will be voting no to the campus model, just as I said last week, and I look forward to more research being done.
I was going to say. So I do want to say thank you to the administration for all your effort and time. I think this looks a lot different from when it started. I think you guys took a lot of feedback and made a lot of changes. But I do feel like this is kind of rushed. I'd like to see even more changes, and I think we'll get there eventually. But for today, I think I'm going to have to vote no.
How many, out of all the people that have signed up for classes, how many asked for a customized?
We didn't sign up yet.
About 90%. Okay, so I know that we've heard, we've gotten lots of letters, we've gotten lots of phone calls, and it's been about 50-50 for the phone calls and the letters. But I think that that is a huge vote from parents who are not here, who think that this is a great idea. And so I have to go with the majority of the community that I think is voting with their children when they are signing up for classes. And I do think that there are so many great ideas, and it looks like this is going to be